Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video I thought, well, I shouldn't really allow to pass without comment the end of one of the terrible blights that the year 2016 thrust upon humanity. In this case, a Donald Trump presidency. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I thought I'd start by noting that for all the failures in Trump's 4 years abusing America and the wider world, and we often thought to himself, my God, this is an idiot. How did America elect such an idiot? And I know, in Britain, we sometimes look at this, we go, America, what are you doing? And then we have a look around and go, yeah. But there's people in lots of other countries that I think were just looking at America going, what are you doing? What are you doing? Such an idiot. And yet, he actually proved himself right. Completely right. His ego should enjoy that. Someone shared on social media something I'd not seen before, or if I had, I'd forgotten about it, from People magazine, 1998, with Donald Trump, interview with Donald Trump, contained this quote: "If I were to run, I'd run as Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters in the country. They believe anything on Fox News. I could lie and they'd still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific." So, yeah. Although he's shown himself to not exactly be the sharpest tool in the box, and his mental capacities have surely gone downhill rapidly in recent years, he didn't half know what he was talking about. We have to give him that. He understood what he was talking about. But the day itself was a little odd for me because I've never really paid close attention to live bulletins from Inauguration Day. You're aware of it, of course. I remember former President Trump, oh, that feels good. Former President Trump, having to lie about the crowds that turned up to his inauguration because it was so sparse. He used to tell the same lies when he came over here, by the way, in his trips to London. He'd be talking about all the cheering crowds, the photos of his motorcade, and there were barriers there to keep the crowds back. There were no crowds. There weren't even people there, apart from photographers photographing the fact that there were no crowds. But he had to lie about the numbers at his inauguration, and particularly when people would show the photographs of his inauguration with his predecessor Obama's inauguration, he had to dismiss those as fake news. And perhaps it will appeal to Trump's ego that he absolutely, without question, definitely had more people attend his inauguration than Biden did. A combination, of course, of the pandemic, but most especially security concerns caused by Trump. But yesterday was the first time where I actually kept an eye on things, on how they're going. I wanted me live bulletins. Basically, I suppose I was keeping an eye out for a few things in case there were any occurrences, but I just wanted to know when it was over. I wanted to see if at the moment that Trump was no longer president, I know he still gets the protection, and I know he's still referred to as Mr. President, but I sort of wanted him to still be in the air when Biden was officially becoming president, and for at the other end of it, when it was time to get out his Mar-a-Lago golf course, instead of helping him down with his bags, to chuck him out the helicopter and chuck his bags after him. That's what I want to see. We didn't see that. But yeah, so but I was watching this thing. I was watching the bulletins, and it just struck me, and I'd never really considered this before. Although it's like they don't have to make a fuss of it. It lasts quite a long time. Now it's not a criticism, but just to compare. When we have a new prime minister, for example, in this country, there isn't even a public event of any length. There is no public event, much less one that takes hours. What happens is the prime minister at the time, the one who's outgoing, goes to the Queen, has a short meeting, tenders their resignation, and then pisses off home. And then the new person comes in, has another really short meeting, few minutes. The Queen asks him or her to form a government, and then they piss off to Downing Street. They take a photo, and then that's it. There's no cameras on it. It's not live, nothing like that. There's a photo of that's it. All there is to it. And that's all there is to it. It's over. But I could barely wait another minute longer for Trump to no longer be president. So I didn't just let the day come and go. I was kept keeping an eye on the bulletins when I could. I just couldn't believe how long the whole thing was taking. And I know, we do make a similar fuss over the coronation of our monarch in this. That's a big event as well. But a monarchy is supposed to last for quite a while. A presidency, even if you're a really successful president, it's supposed to last 8 years. That's the benchmark, isn't it? But it is what it is, everyone does themselves. And I did eventually get to see the spectacle had taken place. And the world breathed a collective sigh of relief. And that's the impression I got from social media. It was a sigh of relief more than anything. Not quite what the QAnon nutters were expecting, because I saw another little snippet on social media. Someone had clicked from the gutters of the internet where they congregate. And I saw this account of someone going, right, here's how it's going down, lads. Right, what's going to happen is, the inauguration's going to go ahead according to plan. It's all part of the plan, you see. And then when everyone's taken their places, the military are going to swoop in and arrest Biden and Pelosi and all the rest of them. And they're going to be taken to a trial. And it's all going to be live on the cameras. Every television will just automatically tune into this, and they're going to show the proof of their guilt. That's how it's going to go down. This did not occur. I'd like to say that the fevered imaginings of raving lunatics don't actually become reality, but we did have a Trump presidency on the west end of the Atlantic, and then we did have Brexit on the east as well. Seriously, 2016 can kiss my arse. It is a year that's going to go down in infamy. But on Trump's last day, I do have to say I was a little bit surprised that it seemed fairly normal. I know he was a bit of a dick, but what did we expect? But he was a muted one. He even sort of in his roundabout way seemed to wish Biden well. Of course, he also tried to say that all the great things that were inevitably going to come with the Biden administration were down to him. We've had a little bit of that on this side of the Atlantic as well. Won't go into that. But it also could be that he's just crapping himself over what comes next. Because for all his hundreds of pardons, which is normal, I know everyone's been going on about the disgraceful use of his pardons. But the thing is, that's what presidents do. They shouldn't. He's not been unusual. You might almost imagine, he's given out so many. He hasn't really, compared to other presidents. For a one-term president, you could argue he's given out a fair number. But presidents do. And the system shouldn't be like that. But it is. It is what it is. So we can't, he's going to do that. But he didn't pardon the Capitol Hill terrorists, did he? He could have done. It would have played well amongst his supporters. In fact, I would imagine there was a section of his support base that expected it. We had at least one of these people who's now facing prison appealing directly to Trump to pardon her. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what those same supporters are going to think of him when they see in the news. At some point, trials are going to take place when the evidence is all collected. They're going to face prison. We're going to see these people going to prison. And what are his supporters going to think when they're watching this on the news, realising that he could have saved them and didn't? Because it's not like he had a limited number of pardons. It's not like, you've got 400, Mr. President, that's your lot. No, as many as he wanted. And it's the same when he eventually denounced the violence that they caused and he inspired. You get the feeling that he's genuinely worried about consequences. How else could you excuse him turning on his supporters like this? And oddly, and I'm not sure I shouldn't be ashamed of this, if he is really worried, deeply worried, and that explains this behaviour, maybe that explains why he didn't. Maybe he was advised it's going to be a bad look for you if you pardon these rioters. So he's pardoned the people that were close to him, but not the rioters. And if he is worried, I take a little bit of comfort from that. I don't think I should. I don't think that's a positive thing to do, but I do take a bit of comfort. Not that I can imagine he's been especially worried about his impeachment trial. Is it all, because part of me thinks, has he been told, look, don't pardon the rioters. It'll make it easier for Republicans to vote against your impeachment, your conviction. And I think, is he worried about the impeachment? I don't know. I'm not, because we've seen impeachments before, as in trials, but not convictions. I don't really know what the consequence is, other than the fact he can't hold public office again. But if he doesn't intend to hold public office again, and I don't know whether he does or he does not, but if he doesn't, is he that bothered about the impeachment? So, you know, I mean, there are people cheering the fact that Trump is gone, but of course he's not, is he? You know, he's gone from the White House. He's gone from Twitter too. But he'll hardly be out of the news for the next few years. And again, I look towards the impeachment as well as the other legal difficulties he's facing. And a lot of court cases now free to proceed, investigations free to proceed. And I wonder how he's going to defend himself. I mean, literally, as in who he's going to get. Because the impeachment, for example, it applies to all actions against him. Who's he going to get to give him legal representation? Because you would think it's not going to be Giuliani now, because he won't pay his bills. Trump is refusing to pay his legal bills. And it would be surprising, would it not, if any hotshot lawyer would want to represent someone who has a recent history of not paying their legal fees. Maybe cash up front will be required. And when I expressed this thought, you know, someone replied, oh, maybe he'll represent himself. And I thought, oh yeah, please, please. I didn't get to see him dragged out of the White House by his ankles. But could I see him try and defend himself? Could I see him try and defend himself? That would compensate a little bit, I think. But at the end of the day, what yesterday really was, from my point of view, watching, was, I mean, from my point of view, a fairly normal end to an abnormal presidency. Yes, I gather Melania Trump didn't do the tour of the White House. I mean, I don't care. I wouldn't have watched. I wouldn't have been invited to the tour myself. I don't care about that. I'm pretty sure that Dr. Biden's not that bothered either. You know, I doubt Trump left a heartfelt note for the new president, as has become a recent tradition. Probably took a dump on the desk instead. Someone will clean it up. Someone will fumigate. Trump didn't attend the inauguration. The first president to not turn up to the inauguration for their successor since Richard Nixon. But that's to everyone's relief. That was everyone's relief. That's not, you know, everyone was pleased about that. So that was actually quite good. It was a quiet day though, wasn't it? Nothing spoiled it, really. There was no repeat of January the 6th or even anything on a smaller scale. America can now get on with trying to clear up the mess. And I'm not saying there won't be some sort of action later on, but it can get on with clearing up that mess now. While we look on from the UK with no small measure of envy, because we've got another 4 years of damage to come here, at least. But those are my thoughts. At least America can move on. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.